was with the praise team this week, and I was explaining that it's not so much the amount of time you spend with the Lord, it's the intensity of the time that you spend with the Lord. You know, when you work out, it's not so much about how long you worked out. You can work out for 8 minutes, but if that intensity is there, you're good, right? It's about the intensity that you put in it. And sometimes we find ourselves kind of plateauing where we're not really growing. I'm just stuck in this and that. That means you got to higher the intensity level. That's what that means. Because sometimes when you work out and this and that, and it's like, man, I'm not getting my gains. Okay, I'm not getting my gains. I'm not getting that, that pump. You know what I'm saying? But I got to increase the intensity level. I either got to get higher reps or put more weight on it. And sometimes we're comfortable with the weight that we have. We're like, Lord, this is good. I'm good with what I got. I don't want any more. And God's like, there will be more. More is coming, right? More weight is going to be put on the bar. Why? Because you are capable. But if you actually don't do resistance training, when the devil tries to come to pour more on you that is not from God, you're not going to be able to hold it up. And what's good is when you do these things, you have a spotter, you have someone there to make sure, hey, I'm here if you begin to drop it. That's what your leaders are for. That's what your pastors are for. When you're about to drop it and say, I can't do it. Oh, yes, you can. Don't you drop that bar. Brian, he's not here, but I worked out with Brian before, and that man, I'm like, Brian, I ain't trying to get bigger. I'm like, stop it. Stop putting more weight. But he is the best motivator. He's like, no, you can do it. Come on, let's do it. Let's do it. That's what you need in your corner. That's the and sometimes that's the person you want to run away from, because you don't like being held accountable. I ain't going to Sam because he'll start, he'll start holding me accountable to my yes. Don't avoid that person. That's the person you want to be with. That's the person you want in your corner. That's the person that you want behind you, because that's the one that's going to tell you how it is. That's the one that's going to tell you the truth. That's not the one who's going to tell you what you want to hear. Because sometimes we look for people who are going to tell us what we want to hear. Well, let me go here because I know they're going to tell me what I want to hear. Well, let me go over here because I know they're going to tell me what I want to hear. And sometimes we go church hopping trying to find, oh my God, I want what my flesh wants to hear, instead of what my spirit is appetizing for. There's two different hungers. We went over this too. Your flesh has an appetite and your spirit has an appetite. There's two different ones. And sometimes we're like, God, I ain't growing. God, I ain't this. Are you feeding your spirit or are you feeding your flesh? Which one is it? Because the more you feed your flesh, the more you're putting away the Spirit of the Lord. But the more you feed the Spirit, the more the flesh dies. The more you die to yourself, the more you feed the Spirit of the Lord. The Spirit of the Lord has an appetite. You know what Psalm says about it? It says deep cries out to deep. The appetite of the Holy Spirit is so deep that it's crying out to something so deep into the Lord. Deep cries out to deep. You're not going to get it in the shallow end. You're not going to get it by just coming and sitting. You're not just going to get it by, oh, I heard this thing on TikTok. That's not going to fly. You've got to go deep. You've got to go deep. You're not going to get it at surface level. When Jesus got baptized, it wasn't surface level, come back up. He went into the water, setting the example for us, getting into the water, getting into his water. I don't know if you remember the vision Ezekiel had where the water was flowing from the temple, went from his ankles to his knees to a point where he was like, I had to swim. I couldn't walk anymore. You should be getting to the point where you have to swim, where you can't walk anymore. Because now you are under total control of the Holy Spirit. When you have to start swimming and you can't reach the bottom. Because we're comfortable when we can walk. Nah, I don't go to the deep. I'm good right here. Because I could walk. I can still run back if I have to. Because the longer I stay closer to the shore, right, it's a much shorter distance from land and where I am right now. So when I get afraid and when I get upset or something, I could just run right back out the water. But if I go deep, I understand the deeper that I go, the more distance I'm creating from who I was. So now there's more work. The deeper I am in the Spirit, there is now so much more work I have to do to become the person I was before. You want to get to a point where you are so lost in the ocean, where even if you wanted to go back, you're like, I can't go back. I can't go back there. I can't. It gets to a point where it's too much work to be the person you used to be. You should get to the point where, man, even if I wanted to be who I used to be, it's too much work. It's easier staying here in the waters. It's easier just staying in the Spirit of the Lord instead of running away from it, walking away from it, and going somewhere else.